Hi there. How's everyone doing today? I thank you for joining Just Talking Business again. I am Stephanie Van Bark, and I am a small business owner. As many of you know, we started this show in order to really help business owners with innovative ideas, anything you can think of just to thrive, not just survive but thrive. And the two young ladies I have with us today are on the side of business that helps supports, in particular, small Black businesses. Please meet Miss Inez Young and Miss Myrlande Simeon. How are y'all today?
Doing
Great,
well.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as you can tell from Orlando's shirt, they're from BBIF, which, okay, I want to make sure I get this right. Don't say the wrong thing. Means borrow, build, invest, financial equity. Is that true?
I think that's more of the slogan, but the acronym, the slogan is more the Black Business Investment Fund.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Go ahead and, if you would, share with me who you are, what you do, and how we might be able to identify you through BBIF.
I'll give the floor to
All
the
right, so
Honorable
I'll
Miss
start.
Inez.
And we are Black Business Investment Fund, as Landy just shared, and we are a community development financial institution. And what that means is we are a bank that does not collect deposits. That's who we are. We are roughly 37 years old. We are headquartered in Orlando, but we have offices in Miami Gardens, Tampa, Florida, and Jacksonville, Florida. So we service the entire state of Florida. Our core business is providing loans, education and technical assistance. That is our core business. We are extremely creative in the way in which we raise capital and then we invest it out in the community, because we understand that we cannot get capital into the hands of small minority businesses, Black businesses, unless we creatively do it. Don't do it the way banks have done it. Do it differently. And that is, in a nutshell, who we are and what we do.
Okay.
Well,
Really?
listen, I couldn't say it best. The CEO said it the best. I don't know how to come back after that, but same. Actually, our goal is to help small business owners understand the business of money. We understand that they know how to make money, but it's teaching them, outside of providing capital, but teaching them the business of money. So that's to add to what Mrs. Long mentioned. That's just something I would add, that we're here and fully capable of aware that we need to do, especially in our community.
You've been, as you mentioned, you said you've been around for 37 years. I have to confess, I'm pretty bad. I didn't even realize there was that level of financial institution that supported businesses, that small businesses, in particular Black businesses, until the pandemic, which in a way, I feel like you all sort of became, meaning CDFIs and BBIF became heroes, I guess, of the day. Because when the first rollout of the PPP loan happened, there was just no real um, uh, support when it came to really funneling those dollars to grassroots businesses. And that's where I feel like CDFIs really stood up and stepped up. Was that intentional? Did you see when that was unfolding, that becoming a problem and and interjecting yourself in the policy making of all of that? Or did it just kind of
Oh, no, we were very, very aggressive in advocating for a policy change. We aggressively advocated with the Department of Treasury to change the rules to allow for CDFIs to administer PPP loans. BBIF had for years partnered with the Small Business Administration, providing microloans and community advantage loans up to, at that time, $250,000. But when PPP was first rolled out, it only allowed for mainstream commercial banks to issue those funds. But we spent a lot of hours in meetings writing letters advocating to the Department of Treasury to allow for CDFIs to become a part of the mechanisms to get the money into the community. And that's why you see in the first allocation, there probably no money almost
Mhm.
went into our community. And in
Mhm.
the second rollout, that's when you see entities like ours. We put out over $77 million in capital in the Black community throughout Florida as a result of being allowed to play in that or participate in the PPP initiative.
Okay. So do you have the same regulations as a bank, or are because you're a little more nimble, you are able to do things a little bit differently?
We are not regulated as a bank because we do not collect customers' money. If
Okay.
you that so that frees us of that regulation. However, because we borrow money and we do get investors' money, we have oversight.
Okay.
So the US Department of Treasury does look deep into our financials, our books,
Mhm.
to see how we are doing our business. So, but that is the level of regulation that we have. And investors, of course, always want to see the audits. We
Mhm.
are Aries rated, similar to S&P rating for a
Okay.
private corporation. In
Okay.
our industry, it's called Aries rated, and they dig down deep to see the quality of your decision making, to see how you're managing those funds, to make
Mhm.
sure that you're not borrowing monies, loaning it, and losing it all.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we do have that sort of regulation. And by the way, with our Aries rated, out of 4 stars of impact, we get 3, and we have an A+ rating. So we are a solid financial corporation in the work in which we do.
Okay. Merlanda, let me ask you a little bit more grassroots since you are the regional director in this area. During the pandemic, one of the things that became abundantly clear was, people being on top of their financials. Um, Push came to shove. Did you have some paperwork to support asking for this loan? Have you, uh, I mean, how bad was it at the time? And how were you able to help businesses transition into a new way of managing their dollars?
Great question, Stephanie. So I like to kind of segue. So prior to me joining BBIF, I was
Mhm.
part of a major financial institution during PPP. And I was
Okay.
at the time, one of those bankers where my clients were calling and saying, "Hey, Landy, I can't get money." Right.
Mhm.
And the territories that I covered were typically territories of folks that kind of look like us.
Uh-huh.
Right. So, with that being said, a lot of those documents weren't in order, right? And once I've transitioned over to BBIF, they offered something that in my previous role I wish that they had is offering something of technical assistance, right?
Okay. Okay.
Educating folks on what they needed. It's not just saying, hey, giving you the money and going back to what I mentioned earlier is educating you on the business of money,
Right.
right? And really so you can fully understand the concept of what a profit and loss and balance sheet is and your income statements,
Okay.
exactly being able to articulate it, knowing if you're making money and not going to your tax preparer and saying, hey, I just don't want to pay taxes this year,
Right.
right? And
Right.
understanding the importance of that. So that's something that we've been able to do here, and I love that we do here at BBIF, is helping our folks fully understand their documents. And that's one of the main reasons a lot of us didn't get the support that we needed, right? A
Mhm.
lot of the money went to other folks, other organizations, larger organizations that technically, quote unquote, we could have used it more, right?
Right. Right.
Because
Exactly.
we didn't understand the documentation. So that's something that I love that we do here that sets us apart. And that's something when I use that we're a non-traditional lender, I like to throw that in there and
Mhm.
saying we're non-traditional in the way that we don't just give you capital, but we're
Mm.
educating you on how is this capital going to help grow and scale my
Right.
business. So to answer your question, yeah, it's educating them outside of giving them that PPP loan is saying, hey, you are going to need to get some type of technical assistance to help educate and how is this PPP loan is actually going to help your business in the long run.
So what about today? Are you doing sort of that same kind of education, and are you finding it working? That businesses are, in particular, Black owned or minority business or BIPOC, I think it was the initials used, which I got this one right, is Black, Indigenous, and other people, right?
Yes, you got it. You got it.
So are you
Acronym.
finding it working? Are you finding that we are now sort of able to step up into that same space as others?
I would say with everything it takes work, right? Anything new people need to get comfortable with, if I'm being honest and transparent. So people need to get, so it is working, right?
Mhm,
And when
mhm.
people actually hear that saying, hold on, you're giving me a loan, but you're requiring me to every month to check in on what this is in our technical, yes, is because we were trying to get you out of that mindset of what you were in before. So yes, to answer your question, Stephanie, we give you the loan, but you are required to be in technical assistance every month until
Oh,
one, we've shown track record that you're able to sustain yourself, or second, you're able to pay off the loan. So
okay.
these are things that we want to be able to look at your financials, your documents, and say, hey, how has this loan been able to help scale your business? And if it isn't scaling your business, what is it that we need to fix and to get you there?
In order to get it right. What are your, I mean, basically you offer a loan based on people's financials, what their return every year, annually, that kind of thing. Let's say I'm a small business, and I am, and I want to look for a loan, and I come to you. What's the formula? What is it I need to have in place in order to be able to secure a loan?
Just asking me. So basically, we want to assure that you have your financials. Just like a lot of clients that come over to me, they sometimes they assume that we're hard money lenders, or
Mhm.
we're lenders in the space where we're like venture capitalists or angel investors or grant providers. No, we are a financial loan institution, right? So I want to make
Mhm.
that sure that we're clear of that. Ideally, we will want to see that you have at least 2 years in business, you're scaling, and sometimes people are not quite there yet. So we typically kind of help the folks that are not quite there yet. They're not, I don't want to use the word bankable, because when we say bankable, they are holding deposits. They're just not loan ready yet.
Okay.
That's basically right. And to the risk appetite, quote unquote, that the larger institutions may need. So they kind
Mhm.
of leverage us, and we come in and saying, hey, okay, let's look at your financials. So we're requiring you to have 2 years of financials minimum. We require you to have a business plan. We need to ensure that you
Mhm.
know about your business. So that's something different that they don't ask at major financial institutions, right? Your projections. What does
Mhm.
that look like? So things are like that. So, but we really need you to understand your business. So we do have, a loan package that we do require, but we do ask that you have at least 2 years of business. And if you do have a year of business, you've been pretty successful in saying, hey, I'm
Okay.
scaling so much and I need help, and I'm being stagnant or where I am. So how can you guys help me get to the next level? So I have
Okay.
clients like that too, that's been only a year in business, but they're doing so well for themselves
Mhm.
that they just are stuck because they might have so many contracts that they can't,
And
to
they need
sustain.
them.
So things like that. So it kind of varies. That's another reason I love us as an institution, because we are non-traditional in the way that we do
Mhm.
lending and how we look at folks and saying, hey, what might work for this client and they're in the same space doesn't work for that client because their financials are completely different. This client might have been in business a year and doing amazing, and you probably been in the same business for 10 years, and we can't, we have to
They
put you
do
in
right.
technical assistance to help you.
Okay.
So that's one of the things. But again, to guess to kind of answer that question is, at least we would look for a minimum of 2 years of financials. But if you are a year, we want to show that you have been advancing.
And if I could add to that, Stephanie, it's also about, as Landy is saying, the technical assistance. The purpose of that is to meet with other professionals that
Mm.
can perhaps give you ideas
Mhm.
as to how you can scale up your business based upon what they've learned from other type businesses in a similar industry as
Mhm.
yours. Because the whole thing is you trying to show that you have the capacity to repay what you're borrowing, and
Mhm.
also the ability to grow your business.
Now, does this model sort of follow the Grumman Bank model? And I'll ask this of you, Inez, if that's okay. And can I call you Inez, by the way? Is it
Sure,
okay?
absolutely.
Um, was that sort of the impetus behind the whole community development financial institution model of really supporting on a grassroots level and really giving sort of a hands-on support that's needed?
Well, the CDFI model, I can't answer that about the Grumman because I really don't know what
Okay.
that model says. But I can tell you in regards to the concept of creating CDFIs, it was because commercial banks are not going to reach down into the grassroots of community
Okay.
and put what they define as risky loans on their books because the regulators will write them up for that.
Hmm.
They have to protect or supposedly the deposits of the folks that put their money in those banks. So they
Hmm.
have a fiduciary responsibility to keep a certain amount of healthy capital on their books.
Hmm.
And I think in the 90s, with President Bill Clinton, the idea was let's create these community lenders that are
Hmm.
not regulated that could reach down and do creative loans
Okay.
and not be written up by the regulators because they're doing these loans that a bank cannot put on their books.
Okay. Okay. So why did you choose the target market that you chose? You've been, according to your bio that I read, I feel like you were one of the earlier adapters, involver in really making this a big deal in this country. Why this target market? Why did you decide small black business owned business, black owned businesses, indigenous pe-
So,
why
so,
this?
so let me answer it in two ways. One, it was the leadership of black politicians back in the early 80s in Florida under
Mhm.
Governor Graham that chose to create a statute to create the investment corporations.
Okay.
And it started with Mr. McDuffie that was murdered in Miami with all of the riots in Miami.
Mhm.
That's how the whole concept of let's create these investment corporations in Florida that will focus on doing loans for Black businesses.
Okay.
Now, for me personally, I was a commercial lender in one of those large commercial banks
Mhm.
that found it very difficult to get loans done for Black businesses. Okay. I could get loans done for other businesses, but it was a challenge when I would bring folks to the table that looked more like me. And I
Mhm.
found that to be very frustrating. So when I found out about the investment corporations, it was only because I had gone to one of them to
Mhm.
present a loan request to get a guarantee so that I could do a loan for a Black businessman that I learned of them.
Right.
And when I presented myself to them, the leader of that organization started pursuing me to get me to come over and work for this group. And after about 6 months, it finally clicked in my head.
That's what I
I
didn't
could
mean.
do this and do what I really want to do because
Mhm.
at the time I was working for a large major commercial bank. And in the afternoons, I would go to these minority meetings,
Mhm.
trying to counsel my people on understanding how they needed to put their financials together, what they
Mhm.
needed to do to approach the mainstream community. That's what I was doing with all of my free time. So
Uh-huh.
this position offered me the opportunity to do this full time, and that was the blessing that Miss Judy Jones, who was the president of the Black Business Investment Fund in Orlando, brought to me, and it
Okay.
changed my life, and it allowed for me to change the life of hundreds and thousands of Black businesses.
So since you both come from a commercial lending, your start was in commercial lending. If you could go back today, what would you fix?
A lot.
Really loaded question.
That's a very loaded question. But
I
that's
don't know
like
if you
this.
can fix anything, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, because
Okay.
they're going to always fall back on regulations. They're always going to use that as the reason why they're not going to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
believe that if there is a fix to be made, we as a community have got to fix it.
Okay.
It's kind of
I
like
get that.
Landy saying, one, if you're going to play football, you got to learn the rules.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You
I
can't play
agree.
football and not know the rules. So,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
what Landy is speaking about is on the financial side, understanding what that financial statement needs to look like, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that there are certain times of the year you want to take that financial picture.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, at a certain time of the year, you want your books to look a certain way
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
before you present those books. And so it's about being honest enough to say, you know what, business, I know how to make money, but this side of it, I really don't know
Right.
all of the
Mm-hmm.
rules. Let me peep over here and let these folks help me to understand the rules so that I can combine that with the God talent that I already have so I can scale up and be as successful as I want to be. And I'm going to say this and then I'll hush. We are currently working on a fintech product that I think we will be able to introduce to the Black community so that we can help ourselves more if we
Okay.
choose to.
And what's
And
a
we'll tell you
fintech
more about that
product? I
later.
think I know what it is, but what is a fintech product?
It is digitally, um,
Mm-hmm.
it is bringing what the work that we do
Mm-hmm.
into the internet world
Okay. Okay.
digitally.
Mm-hmm.
And when will that look, breaking news? When will that come out?
We will probably let you guys know in about 4 months.
Okay.
It'll
Okay.
be public. It'll become public.
And definitely please let us know. We'll get that information out to our viewers because we want to make sure everybody knows. Myrlande, you mentioned something about a business plan. I started my business. I will say I did a business plan. I don't think it's the same business anymore. So how do
Right.
you think, what are some of those? Part of that had nothing to do with the pandemic. Some part of it was just as we were evolving, as we were growing. Um, First, under those circumstances, you please share what the importance of a business plan is, and then how should one adapt their business plan based on how they're moving and operating in the world. And of course, the pandemic probably changed a lot of people's business plans anyway.
Great question, Stephanie. So, as you just mentioned, plans change all the time,
Mhm,
right? You can go from we had this plan today and then tomorrow it's something else, right? So,
mhm,
just to kind of answer that question, what your business plan is, one, you need to understand your business, right?
mhm,
You need to understand your target market and you need to understand your competition,
mhm,
right? So a lot of folks in their business plan is like it's a dream, like, oh my god, this is my dream.
mhm,
I'm putting
mhm.
this is what's going to happen. I'm going to make millions of dollars. This is going to be
Tomorrow.
great tomorrow, right? And
That's
not
what happened
under
to me.
so that
I did
happens
it.
a lot of the time, right? Because we're so hyped, we're so excited, like
Mhm,
nobody's ever done this before. And I'm just here to tell you, I probably heard it like 3 or 4 times within that same week, the same plan, right? It's not, but again, it's really understanding your business and what business that you're in. Yes, it's an amazing idea. It's a great idea. And the goal is for it to be continuously financially successful and
mhm,
grow, but understanding the business that you're in. So your business plan is going to to me, honestly, your business plan should not stay stagnant. It should not be the same. After
mhm,
6 months, like you said, it's not, if I put these things in order, I should see some type of result would then
mhm,
change that particular plan. Maybe that wasn't, I probably said, hey, I'm looking to make my projections in the next 6 months, 100,000. And lo and behold, I got an amazing contract. I got a $500,000 contract.
mhm,
That changes the plan. Now that
mhm,
changes the staffing, that changes the marketing, that changes the working capital. It changes a lot of things. So when you're having your business plan, it's very important that you are very realistic in your business plan. If I'm
mhm,
being honest, it's just be realistic and be true to what your business is and what you're capable of doing. Yes, of course, we want to put projections, we want to put goals on there that we would love to achieve, but they need to be realistic goals and saying, hey, you know what am I putting in place to make this happen? Am I going to
Okay.
be capable in allowing myself to execute these goals that I set for myself in my business? So that's very important. And when you're dealing with business plans, if you would ask me.
Now, a last and a powerful question. One of our guests that we had here during pandemic, and the one and only guest I've had so far that has had to close her doors and was willing to kind of talk to us about what that felt like and how that came to be. If a business is sitting in front of you asking for dollars, um, but you don't see how those dollars are going to make a difference in the business, what are some maybe advice you should give to a small business as to, maybe it's time for you to rethink if this business should continue? Have you ever had to have some of those conversations, and how do you help people make that decision and transition?
I think me being in this space, in the lending space, one of the things that I do here, I had that conversation all the time. I
Hmm.
literally got off the phone with a client that's looking to build 125 properties, but it's never done it before. Right? And it sounds good.
Yeah, it
It
does.
sounds good, right? It sounds
Okay, good luck
amazing.
with that.
But one of the advice I gave to this client and to all clients is, listen, we need to, it's just like if you're going to your doctor, right? I'm not going to keep going to a doctor that's had a million malpractices.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, I need to look back and say, hey, this might not be my cup of tea. Let me go. If I was a medical doctor, maybe I might want to be a dentist,
Right.
but I say all that to say it's just when I give that advice, and it's sometimes it can be heart crushing in a sense where this is this person's dream. They've probably been doing this for years, but it's really, and they might know what to do, and again, they just don't have the structure in order to do that. So that's where technical assistance comes in, and it is very imperative and very important. I advise my clients, hey, let's go to technical assistance route for first off, and let's figure out what's not working. Let's figure, like, hey, year over year, let's go through your financials. What's been the redundant thing that's constantly happening that you're continuously doing that's not allowing your business to scale, right?
Okay.
So that's why it is imperative that we keep pushing technical assistance and education about the money business to these clients and helping them assure, because once they have that, and I think that's something our folk, to be very honest with you, that we lack, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're very
Mm-hmm.
trustworthy people. We're very, hey, my CPA told me that was okay, and my accountant told me, my tax preparer said it's okay, so they have to know what they're talking about, right? Because they've been doing it for years, but we don't understand it. So back to what Ms. Inez stated, is us really knowing our documents, our financials, is really understanding. And I think that's the number one, the base. Bare minimum is the base, is us understanding our financials. And I think once we get a grip on that, I think we'll be fine eventually, right? But we need to get a grip on understanding our financials.
Okay. And so what's next for BBIF? And then what do you think, since you are in the state of Florida, and we happen to have a very interesting, especially South Florida, a very interesting and quite diverse small business community. What do you think the future of small businesses, in particular, Black-owned businesses in this state?
Here in South Florida, like you mentioned, is extremely unique. I said it's a different country within itself. We are. This is a different country.
And mostly small business.
This is a different country down here, right?
We do things differently.
We do different. I am blessed that, I'm from the Caribbean. I speak multiple languages, so I can kind of engage with different, communities and understanding their business, right? And I think what sets BBIF apart from any other financial institution or institution that I worked with is us understanding these communities and putting the folks in the right regions that understand these communities, right? I can say to you, Stephanie, I went to Little Havana and do business there. I can go to Little Haiti. I can go to Wynwood. I can go to Miami Gardens. I can go to Carol City. I can go to Palm Beach. And naming these names, people just aware, like, oh, she knows what she's talking about, right? And I understand the diversities, and I'm sorry, the things that we're lacking in these particular communities that's not helping, because let's be honest, what's going to work in Miami Gardens is not going to work in North Miami.
Yeah.
And it's literally 10 minutes apart. Literally 10 minutes The same business, you can have a Caribbean restaurant in Miami Gardens and you put it in Little Haiti and it's going to do two different things.
Correct.
So these are things that I think with BBIF, we're here to change the narrative. Like yourself, Stephanie, you said, hey, I didn't know about this until PPP. My goal and, you know, the organization's goal and Ms. Inez's goal is to show, hey, no, there are organizations here to help us. They are here, you know, and the goal is to get us to come out and not be so afraid. And, you know, again, back to that trustworthy, hey, you know, I've been doing business with these folks for 20, 30 years, but where has it gotten you? Right? What has it done? What has it done for me? So that's why I tell my businesses, hey, let's try this organization out. Let's see what is it that they're offering. They're strictly focused on helping Black, brown, and indigenous folks, you know, people of color. Let's see how that, because the way we do business is not how other folks do business. The way that we think, you know, the way that we put things on, you know, we like to save money on our mattress. People don't understand that. Like, hold on, you know,
that came out recently.
Little things like that. You have to come in and understanding where different cultures are not going to understand that. So that's what's going to set BBIF. That's what sets, not going to, that's what's setting BBIF for me, specifically that you mentioned South Florida, apart because it's so multicultural. I think what Ms. Inez has done with this organization in the last 37 years is amazing. Like she mentioned, Ms. Judy Jones brought her on. She brought me on. Like we have the same type of background, doing the same type of thing, you know, going to the commercial space in the morning and going to these minority things in the afternoon and, you know, trying to see what can we bring to our people. So the goal here at BBIF is to help all Black and brown businesses show that, you know, we can have a seat at the table too, basically.
How about you, Inez? Where do you think the future is for both your organization and the state of Black business in Florida?
Well, I think Landy crowned it. I would just say that the fintech product that we've been working on, I think will add to that mix to help us get deeper into our community to deal with the differences that we have as a people in the way we manage our capital, because we've got to save ourselves. The industry is not going to change. The way they manage money, they will always take our deposits, but that doesn't mean that they're going to loan you money because you have a savings or a checking account in that institution. We've got to, one, understand better the power of our dollar, and we've got to use it differently to support ourselves and our community. And that's where we're trying to take this thing. As a part of what we're already doing. Can we take it?
Wait, okay. And I really will leave you with one last question. Okay, I'm sorry. I jumped over talking off you. I'm sorry.
No. You're excited. Go right ahead.
I have one last question. The reason why we're connected is because Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust, who has worked with you very closely and raves about how you have made such an impact in our communities. And I truly believe that. Not only because of them, I actually know someone else that has raved about your what you've done in the world as well, that works with another type for small business as well. Looks like we're having some problems with our internet here, but it'll get better. So please tell me a little bit about that relationship, how you've really grown to partner with Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust, and together the impact that you've been able to have.
I'm definitely going to let Landy take this one because she is the person that has brought this to our organization, and we are 100% behind her and her work there. Peace, Landy.
Thank you, Stephanie. So basically, you know, once I joined this organization, Indeed was a organization. I did a speaking engagement. I attended a contracting seminar that they had, and the amazing Bill Diggs was there. I said, no, I need to work with this guy. This is the guy I need to work with. Me being Landy, I stepped to them. I let him to talk to whoever. I said, we need to partner up together. I went to him. I said, hey, we need to partner up together. He's like, tell me about yourself. And, you know, I did my elevator pitch for BBIF and said, hey, this is the impact that we've done, but I believe if we partner up together, we can do more. I would never forget it. He said, okay, if you have that much leverage, get your CEO and CFO down here.
Okay.
Okay. I said,
She
okay.
did.
I did. I said, Miss Inez, he doesn't want anybody else. He wants the CEO and the CFO, and he doesn't want a Zoom. He doesn't want a phone call. He wants you guys in person to kind of showcase our work and what we're capable to do.
Okay.
We were able to do that within the short time frame.
Mhm.
We got him down here, and he understood, him and his team understood the work that we're trying to do specifically here in South Florida with the type of work the folks, that they're looking to work with. Once that happened, the partnership has been amazing. I'm happy to
Mm.
say, I want to say within the last 6 to 7 months, and partnering up with them, we've already helped a few Black developers with their program, and we've already pushed already in closing about $5 million in loans with them, and this has happened in the last 6 to 7 months.
Wow.
So, and we're looking to close another 4 million in the next 3 months. So, this is this is the type of work that we're looking
Okay.
and letting folks know that when we partner up together, back to Miss Inez said, how important that Black dollar is. How important
Yes.
once we stick together and we come together
Right.
and
Right.
show, like, it's very difficult to break us apart. But if I come in and say, hey, I can do this for you and I can do this for you, but we're still here, it's a little bit more
Right.
difficult to break that bond. So with Indeed, the goal is to show other institutions like themselves and saying, hey, look what we've been able to do with them. Let's be able to do this, eventually in the state of Florida,
Right.
eventually countrywide, to say,
Right.
hey, we can do this because we've proven that it can happen down
Right.
here. So that's the goal. So to kind of answer that question, Stephanie, with Indeed, they're great partners and of really putting us out there and showing us off in a sense and saying, hey, we can actually make this happen.
Okay.
So we can
Great.
do it with the
Well,
capital,
thank you so much
Stephanie.
again for joining. So we say that again.
I said we can do it with the capital because we have wonderful people
It's,
and leadership like
it's
Landy down there in the Miami market.
But can you say that again? Like it's a hard conversation to have with folks. But I am glad there is an institution like yours that is focused on investing in and really significantly investing in small Black businesses. And Myrlande, you and I are in Miami. We've seen the wave of how this small business development place works down
Mm-hmm.
here. So it's great to know that there's an institution that's solely focused on our success. So I thank you so much for that. By the way, offline we'll talk. I'd like to connect you with one of those potential institutions. So
Yeah.
thank you again. I really appreciate you. And have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I forgot to tell you that this show was brought to you by Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust. We affectionately refer to as MDEAT. If not for them, this would not have happened. And we really appreciate these ladies hopping on today to tell us more about what this business is all about. So, thank you so much. And I will see you next time.